Hey everybody, FooserX here for a long-awaited sequel to some of my other foosball tutorials. This one's going to be focusing on defense. And because there's a lot to this, I'm going to break it down into two videos, two parts. So the first one's just going to be different defenses, and the second one will be more about defensive theory and how we can use these to become a better goalie. So I'm going to just get right down to it. I'm going to use a pull shot, but feel free to make adjustments and what I'm talking about to the rollover. Maybe I'll do one of those defenses videos later on. So first defense, just standard defense. This is what that looks like. Another defense, the reverse defense. Another defense, we just want to use one guy. We're just moving one guy at a time. The second defense, you're moving both guys at a time. Another defense, alternating that second rod, coming in there. Another type of defense where you're moving your guys in sync. And of course, another one, you're not moving them in sync. Each one's kind of independent. Another defense, a shuffle. We can shuffle fast. We can go kind of slow. We can kind of be steady and herky-jerky to the holes. We can be nice and smooth. We can have a race defense where we're like bailing out to the long. We're trying to race that long. We're showing them that big juicy hole. And we can also have a fake race where when he's setting it up, we're faking like we're racing it, and we might even race him for a time or two. But then when you get a read, when he goes, you just discipline yourself not to move there. Another defense is the big hole theory. So that's when he's setting it up and he's, looking at your defense, you just kind of leave that big juicy hole there for a second or two. And it's so big and you're not moving that he's just thinking like, what's going on here? And then you go back to moving your guys again, and he's going to be waiting for that big juicy hole to open up again. He might even waste 3 or 4 seconds waiting for that hole, and he's like, oh, I'm not going to ever see that again. And there you go. Oh my God. And then he might even try to force that in there. So right there, that's 16 different types of defenses we can use. And the next thing is toe in, toe out. And just by changing the tilt of the toe, it's going to give a different look to whatever defense is. Like, because they're looking at the ball at an angle, that defense, that tilt of the man will disguise a hole. It might intimidate them. Like, if you have your guy in on a reverse, it might make the long look a little bit easier to hit. But if you fork it out, it might be a little intimidating. Like, man, I really got to get around that. It's like I can't spray it. And if you tilt it out, it might make the middle look bigger. Or you squeeze things here, it might make the middle look a little bit tougher to hit. So those are your different types of defenses. And why do we need to learn these different types of defenses? So a lot of people have just one defense, and it works pretty good for most of the people, most of the time, but we have to be able to adjust. Like, if you're getting drilled, you have to be able to come at your opponent with different looks. Like, don't get me wrong, there's plenty of gups out there, or people with flaws in their shot, erasable shots, or weaknesses that you don't need to adjust to, but we're talking about elite tournament quality players here. And just like my 5-row video, my 5-row theory video, like, we always need to be one step ahead of the opponent. Like, good players are just going to make adjustments, and we want to be ahead of them. We want to be able to say, hey, this is a smart player, and I just blocked him 2 or 3 times, but I know he's going to change up something, change up his timing, change up his hole. So we have to be able to adjust before he adjusts. We have to say, like, hey, I know I can block him for 2 or 3 times with this different defense, so let me try something else, and I'll come back to this defense a little bit later, but let me give him something else to work at, because these are just different looks. Like, you can still implement your strategy, by keeping your strategy the same, just giving him different looks. Like, if we want to still force him long, we can make that long look different in so many ways. We can give that big hole there. We have different looks, but we can still keep our same philosophy in mind. So that's something to think about here. People they have a hard time with different things, and we have to be able to, like, test them out. Some people can read slow defenses really, really good, but you start speeding the defense up and they're going to have trouble with it, and vice versa. Or, hey, this person has a hard time when you start bringing in that other guy, that it's throwing them off. So the idea here is to get them thinking, and the more they're thinking and trying to figure you out, the more time is ticking off the clock, and the more they're going to have to start rushing their decision making as time runs out. And I talk to people all the time, and the story's all the same. Like, I play Tony, Robbie, Ryan, Kevin, and I block the crap out of them, and it never fails. I ask them all the time, well, did you win? And they're, they say, like, no. It's like, no shit, no, because these dudes are machines. They're human supercomputers getting a read on your defense, and they're like those raptors in Jurassic Park that are testing out the fence in different spots, looking for weaknesses. And yeah, your defense might trip them up for a game or two, but make no mistake, like the more they see your defense, the more they're going to dial it in, like get a read on it and figure it out. Like they might even waste a few shots that they know are going to get blocked just so you stay in your same one-dimensional defense. Like that's how smart they are. It's like, hey, I know I can figure this out, so I'm just going to try a different shooting strategy on this guy. I'm going to let him block me a couple times. That way he thinks he can keep using this defense on me. But really, I can have my way with him anytime I want to. So that's why it's so important to constantly be cycling through these different defenses. And just like any other aspect of foosball, you have to practice something to make it better. If you just roll out a defense in the middle of the game for the first time, yeah, you're going to get blasted. And that's why we need to work on these different looks in pickup games and even weekly tournaments, because what's most important here is developing, you know, the long-term development of your game. Like, who cares if you win a pickup game? Like, that's not important. Like, I see it all the time. People are so intent on winning a pickup match that they just go with their best game, their best defenses, and that's not making them any better. Like, accept the fact that if we want to elevate our game, we're going to have to make some sacrifices. You're going to have to lose some games while you ride out the learning curve of a few ideas. So if you know you can block somebody with, you know, your normal standard defense in a pickup game, like force yourself, all right, I'm going to use the reverse for like tonight. Like that's all I'm going to do. I'm going to use, you know, this shuffle D. I'm going to use, you know, a race defense mixed with something else. Like even if you get drilled, force yourself to not go back to what you know, and you can maybe mix that in there for a couple seconds, but then go back to, to something new. Like force yourself to learn new things. And I definitely want to talk more about defensive theory and stuff, but I'm going to save that for a different video. Hopefully all these things you guys can get a read on, maybe start seeing these things in tournaments. All right, good luck guys.